Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can you tell all your classmates that are still requesting for admission if they can do it now so that isara ko ang pag-admit sa ila tanan to the Google Classroom so that we can start? Okay, so you are, I think, 83 supposedly, but only 59 who were admitted. So kindly tell your classmates. Um, hold on. Okay. Okay, let's start. Um, let's put ourselves in the holy presence of God, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for this day that you have given us. Thank you for the life that you've allowed us to live with. May this day be a blessing, not just for us, but to the people around us. And we entrust everything to you, whatever we do today. And may you be at the center of our lecture, that everyone will be able to understand what we're going to about to discuss. Lord, we entrust everything to you. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. So good morning once again. How are you? So I guess everybody's fine. In continuation with the lecture that we had for both 3A and 3B. So um, let's continue discussing it. So, in continuation, toxicity may be acute or chronic and may vary from one organ to another as well as with age, genetics, gender, and diet, as well as physiological condition or the health status of the organism. Now, we had cases before. I have given you sample case analysis during the class. So maybe we'll be having more of it during the exam. So kindly practice on how you analyze things. By the way, we will still be discussing more of it today. So how do you manage to think if a person is already being exposed to a such toxicant? So ideally, hold on. Okay. So there are different kinds of exposure of humans and other organisms to toxicants that may result from many activities. This includes the intentional ingestion, occupational exposure, environmental exposure, accidental, and intentional could be suicidal or homicidal. So more of this, of course, these enters our body through the portal. The three main portal, we have the alimentary canal, which is the digestive tract, and also the largest organ that we have in the body, the skin, and also including the inhalation. So the toxicity of a particular compound may vary again with those kind of portal. However, experimental methods of administration, such as injection, may also give highly variable results. Thus, the toxicity from could be IV, the intravenous, the intraperitoneal, or the IP, intramuscular, or subcutaneous injection of a given compound may be quite different. The reason why toxicity may vary as much as tenfold with the route of administration. Now, following exposure, there are multiple possible routes of metabolism. Could be both detoxifying and activating, and multiple possible toxic endpoints. So as you can see here, I've given you notes relating to the relationship of toxicology to other sciences. So I believe you already or you were able to reproduce your own copy. So whatever is written on those notes that I have given you last meeting, well, that will be included sa exam. Okay, so kindly run through it. So I will not, di na ko siya isa-isahon karon since it is already readable and understandable. So toxicology is a highly eclectic science in human activity drawing from and contributing to a broad spectrum of other sciences and human activities. So at one end of the spectrum are those sciences that contribute their methods and philosophical concepts to serve the needs of toxicologists or the one who studies it, either in research or in the application of toxicology to human affairs. At the other hand, or at the other end of the spectrum are those sciences to which toxicology contributes. Now, in the first group, some of these are chemistry, biochemistry, pathology, physiology, epidemiology, immunology, ecology, and the biomathematics, which have long been important, while molecular biology has, in the last 2 or 3 decades, contributed to dramatic advances in technology in toxicology. Why? Because as if you can or if you were able to hear the molecular during biology during the pandemic, it is really been regulated, no, especially abroad and also here in the Philippines. Mas paspas siya na nahimo og kanang understandable. It became very the learning phase for this molecular biology has been in a fast nga facing. So if you heard, usually most of these topics were tackled mostly sa mga medtechs, but we as a pharmacist must also have knowledge about the molecular biology, which is also right now it's really quite timely nga dapat siya matunan as well. So aside from this group of sciences, we also have another group. Now, in the group of sciences to which toxicology contributes significantly are such aspects of medicine as forensic medicine, clinical toxicology, of course, our very own pharmacy, and pharmacology, public health, and industrial hygiene. Now, toxicology also contributes in an important way to veterinary medicine and to such aspects of agriculture as the development and safe use of agricultural chemicals. Um, have you or do you own a farm or have you gone through a farm before, if you can remember when you were still a child? So ang atong mga natural way of chemicals that we are using sa farm is of course those that are coming from the poultry nga mga kuan mga mga feces sa ato ang mga chicken. They become the chemicals that we use, no, the natural thing that we used to use in the farm. However, the modern days right now, a lot of chemicals are being formulated in order to help our farmers. But if I were to ask you, would you prefer the natural way of the cultivation, or the help that the farmers need, or kanang karon modern days na nato nga daghan na chemicals nga pwede gamiton, which is more convenient? Diba? As if you are listening to interviews from the World Health Organization or some localities that talks about health, they are really sometimes mentioning that because of the chemicals that we've been using, supposedly the lifespan that we have, supposedly medyo taas pa unta siya. But because kay gusto man tag mga convenient nga pamaagi, well, these chemicals are being introduced even more nowadays to help out, not just because only for the conveniency, but because we are already a lot here in this world. So daghan na kay tao sa kalibutan. So how can we feed those ourselves or the specific mga person if dili paspas ang production? So sadly, because of that, instead of having a long lifespan, so medyo nowadays it's contributing to the short span nga life that we have. So I hope someday soon, though it has already been the scientists are already been interviewed, and sadly they were crying out that of course our very own earth is being really intoxicated. And diba, if you heard, they were giving particular number of years na pwede na lang mo leave ang earth. And of course, we are included to that. So clearly, toxicology is preeminently an applied science. It is dedicated to the enhancement of the quality of life and the protection of the environment. But you know what? Frequently, the perturbation of normal life processed by toxic chemicals, actually, it enables us to learn more about the life process themselves. So for example, the use of dinitrophenol and other uncoupling agents to study oxidative phosphorylation or phosphorylation. So you know what is that kind of process? The oxidative phosphorylation. It is where energy is harnessed through a series of protein. So it is embedded in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So it helps out, no? And of course, there are specific mga RNA polymerases that are also included to that. Now, the field of toxicology has expanded and right now enormously in recent decades, both in numbers of toxicologies and in accumulated knowledge. This expansion actually has brought a change from a primarily descriptive science to one which I think utilizes an extensive range of methodology to study the mechanisms involved in toxic events. So just a brief history of toxicology. Now, going back to your essential or the introduction of pharmacy, do you still remember the papyrus ebers? No, it's really popular during our first year years. Now, yes, up until now, it has importation, especially with regards to toxicology. Now, dating from about 1500s BC, Maastricht as the earliest surviving pharmacopoeia in the surviving medical works of the very renowned Hippocrates, or we also have the Aristotle and Theophrastus. They were published during the period of the 400 to 250 BC. These all include some mention of poisons. So like as you can imagine, it is 1500s BC. So grabe tigulang na gid kayo siya. But these books that were published has the first poisons list of poisons that has already been known, not just only in a specific country, but all over the world. So aside from that, the early Greek poet Nicander treats he is a poet, and he was able to do different he was able to differentiate the animal toxins, and which is in term as therica. And also if there is a toxin, there is also an antidote being made both to plant and animals, and this is called alexi pharmaca. Now, the earliest surviving attempt to classify plants according to their toxic and therapeutic effects is that of Dioscorides, a Greek employed by the Roman Emperor Nero about 50 AD. So, aside from that, there appear to have been few advances in either medicine or toxicology between the time of Galenax. So, we are also familiar with Galenicals, diba? So, the topicals, you know. Now, it was the latter who, despite frequent confusion between fact and mysticism, laid the groundwork for the later development of modern toxicology by recognizing the importance of the dose response relationship. So later on, we would know what is the importance or the relevance of dose response relationship. By the way, am I too fast? Okay lang?
Okay lang, ma'am.
Sure. Okay, thank you. So aside from that, aside from this top three brief history summary of the toxicology, there were some important developments during the 18th century as well. Now, if you are quite familiar about the book Diseases of Workers, it was published during the year of 1700s. This is the best known publication actually of Ramazzini's. So in there, it leads us to his recognition as him as a father of occupational medicine. The correlation between this occupation of chimney sweeps and scrotal cancer by Pott in 1775 is almost as well known, although it was foreshadowed by the nasal cancer and snuff, if you are quite familiar with it, by Hills during that time. So there are a lot of contributors in the field of toxicology. If we are about to track it all over again, so there are a lot of our very known people that were able to contribute on the field of toxicology. Um, However, we can really say that it is clear now that however this kind of tracking that we have on the history of toxicology, we can really base that, and the toxicology has entered a phase of rapid development and has changed from science that was largely descriptive to one in which the importance of mechanisms of toxic action is generally recognized. So So aside from that, I've also gathered some of the other areas or the specific areas of toxicology. So I'll be giving you copies of it so you can read it all over. And aside from that, I have also prepared hazards and risks that is related to um, toxicology. But hold on, let me try opening it for you. Okay, so unfortunately, I cannot open it here, but I'll be giving you a copy of it. So, since we are just only in the introduction part of toxicology, now let me introduce to you, um, or let me ask you first, if you are still able to answer me directly and concretely, um, how do you define toxicity before we move on to those response relationship, as we already ended the um, history of toxicology and the introduction as well. Can somebody tell me what is toxicity now? Any of you can answer. What does toxicity means now? Hello. You can answer. You can open your mic. No worries about that. Okay, go ahead, Axel.
Good morning, ma'am. For me, ma'am, toxicity, basically, kanang describe siya sa degree to which a substance is poisonous or kanang makakause siya injury to us humans, and magdepend siya on a variety of factors. Pwede siya sa dose, pwede po siya sa duration of exposure, or even the route of exposure, and possibly the structure of the chemical itself, ma'am, and also ang ato ang individual ng mga human factors ng atong genetics po.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for that, Axel. Now, is there a difference between toxic and toxicant? If there is a difference between side effect and toxic effect, now let me ask you, is there a difference between toxic and toxicant? Uy, kapila na ko nagibalik-balik the last time. What is toxicant or toxic substances? Can any of you answer it? Any raise of a hand? Okay. Yes, Giovanni.
I think ma'am the difference between toxic and toxicant is ang toxic is pwede siya kanang dili bitaw internally siya ma-ingest, whereas ang toxicant kay ma-ingest siya, which is kanang harmful sa internal na body. That's it, I think.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so the toxic itself only relates to the word poisonous or deadly. But for toxicant, it is a chemical or the specific substance that a person is being exposed to. Okay, so thank you for that, Giovanni. And if there are possible toxic effect that the person is manifesting at the very moment, well, a lot of, just like similarly to the side effect or the symptoms. No, there are a lot of diseases that we have, but usually dol-dol na sila og symptoms. Sa manang uban mag-overthink na. So actually, same goes with the toxic effect. So do not be rattled if there are specific person in front of you manifesting such symptoms, but instead be observant and be quick to analyze what is happening to the patient. Because, as what I've mentioned earlier, there are a lot of things that are quite similar, especially in the manifestation of specific symptoms. It could be he is or she is having anaphylactic shock, maybe due to the toxicity that arouses towards a person's body. In relation to that, we have here our dose response relationship. Okay. So the dose response relationship, it is a relationship between exposure and health effect that can be established by measuring the response relative to an increasing dose. So let's, for example, let me give you an example here. Okay, prior to the example that I'll be showing, well, a typical dose response curve is the one that is being identified for a specific result of the dose response relationship. Now, the dose response curve is shown in the following figure that I'll be presenting, in which the percentage of organisms or systems responding to a chemical is plotted against the dose. For many chemicals and effects, there will be a dose below where no effect or of response is observed. Now we have these two identifications, especially on identifying the curve. So we have two. I think there are only two abbreviation that we'll be having. We'll be using rather. We have the NOAEL or NOAEL, no observed adverse effect level, or the NEL, no effect level. So let me show you. So actually, this is how a typical dose response curve will be shown to us. So this is just an introduction. We will further discuss the graph itself as we enter midterm. Para dili rapod kayo mo bombarded sa exam next week. Okay ba? Or shall we put it all together now? I think silence means yes.
No, ma'am. Sumigil na, ma'am.
Okay. So basta, ingani siya. If you are familiar with the integral graph, so somehow it's like that. So there is a specific relation between dose and response. So ideally, if there is quite no response, meaning there is also factors that we will be considering. So, hold on. So we have here, I'll be giving you terms for the dose response relationship terms. So we have here first the toxic dose load or the TDLO. And we also have, kana siya ang TD is capitalized. However, ang kanang LO, butang siya sa subscript, okay? Nga part. So, nga na siya pagka-right. So, the toxic dose load, it's the lowest dose of a substance introduced by any route or other than inhalation over any given period of time and reported to produce any toxic effect in humans or to produce tumorigenic or reproductive effect in animals. So, aside from that, we also got toxic concentration low, the TCLO. Same goes with the writing on the TDLO. So, capitalized TC, subscript LO. It is then the lowest concentration of a substance in air to which humans or animals have been exposed or any given period of time that has produced any toxic effect in humans or produced the same thing, okay? The tumorigenic or reproductive effect in animals. So I will give you, of course, a summarization of this since this is just an introduction of the terms. We will be tackling more of this later part of our lesson. So aside from those two, we also have lethal dose low. Now the lowest dose other than the LD50 Okay, you already were introduced to LD50. So this is a substance introduced by any route other than inhalation. So, ngano kaha no that it is the exemption for the inhalation is always there. Why do you think? Ngano ka above all the route administration that we got, usually dili kayo applicable siya sa inhalation. Can you give your thoughts about that? Class. Okay, again, why does among all the route of administration, sometimes the exemption is being held to inhalation? Why? Okay, dili consistent ang intake, kaya dagko og dosage ang inhaler. What else? Okay, while taking inhalation, na other pollutant na mo enter. Okay, so among all the route of administration, mo dili siya ideally diretso sa, or there is exemption. Actually, it is still included, but sometimes it is being exempted because the route of exposure of your inhalation, it is potentially, or it potentially produce lung disease, but dili siya actually gali if you were able to imagine how the anatomy of lungs could be shown, is it quite mas advantage ba gali ang inhalation nga part compared to IV? Why do you think nga? Okay, sorry for that. So, if you can come to think of it again, how do you relate the anatomy of the respiratory in terms of inhalation of drugs? Dali ra ba siya?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, for the reason that. Why do you think? For what reason? Ano mas dali siya?
Rich og blood supply ang lungs, ma'am. So, rapid ang exchange if ma-inhale ang usa ka substance, ma'am.
Okay, yes. But if you come to think of it, once you do inhalation, especially the use of different materials under inhalation, dili tanan mo sulod diretso. Okay, if you're particular to that. Compared if you've gone through IV, we know that IV is 100% bioavailable. So, direct siya inserted. If we also do per oral, of course, if one, let's for example, kanang gina-mention nga suicidal, di ba gina nila halos sa tablitas nga kaya silang baba. So directly it is being entered to the body. Compared to the inhalation, most less likely, labi na o ka ng open space, dili siya tanan masulod. So it is one of the factors though. So aside from these three, so have you imagined that one, or have you realized compared to the other nga mga route of administration? Okay, let me reiterate it again. If you are going to use IV, IM, IP, so on and so forth, you are using a syringe. So most less likely, tanan ba siya masulod? Not unless ang danghag ang ma-inject sa imo, ha. Siyempre, there is a backflow. But if it is being injected to the person, even at the lowest dose, masulod ba siya tanan? Hello, class. Masulod ba tanan? Okay. However, if you take things per oral, masulod ba siya? Masulod siya. However, if you think of the route of inhalation, even in a even in a low dose, let's say for example, let's have an example of the nebulizer mask. Diba, when you put the nebulizer mask on the patient's face, diba daghan mo gawas, dili siya tanan mo totally sulod. So kung low dose lang siya, it is most less likely nga mo penetrate all over. But still, there is a toxicant that is being entered. But comparing to other route of administration, mas less likely siya mo adhere or mo sulod in a person's body in a full blast. Okay? Pag imo gayong igamitan ang inhaler, or ang kanang unsa ni tawag, a mask, or have you gone through different kind of kanang inhalation nga mga apparatuses, katong mask, katong tube? Have you gone through that? These are just examples, ha. But if you can think of it, if you can notice on it, so yan na siya, dili siya totally good. Labi nag-lower dose ang gamiton sa chemical substance or toxicant, dili siya fully sulod in a person's body. Though, we have the portal of lungs, but again, considering on the avenue on how it is being taken, it is quite different from your other route of administration, such as your other IVs or your per oral. So, lahi ra siya. But anyway, mas ma-realize man gud siya if you'll have it through graph. So, yeah, later on we will still discuss more of that. So, aside from that, we also have the lethal dose 50 or the LD50. It is a calculated dose of a substance which is expected to cause the death of 50% of an entire defined experimental and animal population. It is determined from the exposure to the substance by any route other than inhalation again. So we also have here, hold on, the lethal concentration low, the lowest concentration of a substance in air other than LC50, which has been reported to cause death in humans or animals. And as mentioned, the LC50, it is a concentration still of a substance in air, exposure to which for a specified length of time is expected to cause the death of 50% of an entire defined experimental animal population. So this is what I mentioned about earlier. So we have here the summary of those response terms. So this is how it is being distinguished. So we have here the exposure time, the route of exposure. So as you can see, there is a different toxic effect between human and animal. Though animal, of course, are being used as a lab mammal for a specific toxic substance, such even the drugs itself, it's being used to them for testings. But this is how it goes. So kindly take a copy of it. So then again, there is a specification depending on the dose response that we got. So motongan ako sa inyo kaganina, through the curve or the graph that we will be using, it will be identified why most of the route of exposure doesn't actually, especially on the TDs, no, it's not being, or dili siya usually prone to inhalation compared to the others as well. So yeah, we'll just further discuss on the curves and the exposures that the specific category under dose response relationship has. So aside from that, hold on. I want to show you. Mhm. Okay, I'll just show it after this slide. So if we have a specific dose response relationship, let us just try, of course, to check what are the sources of these toxic compounds. So, and the meaning of it. So we have here the exposure classes. Actually, we only got two categories under the sources of the toxic compounds. We have the exposure as well as the use classes. But first, let us have the exposure classes. Exposure classes include toxicants in food, air, water, and soil, as well as toxicants characteristic of domestic and occupational settings. So these differs to the use classes. And we will talk more of this still also during the midterm. So this is just being highlighted. But aside from the exposure classes, we also have use classes. Um, Use classes, these includes the drug of abuse, therapeutic drugs, agriculture chemicals, food additives and contaminants, metals, solvents, combustion products, cosmetics, and toxins. I've mentioned this one early in our discussions face-to-face in a lecture that clinical drugs are one of the susceptible, no, especially on the toxicity or the toxic substances, because a lot of people upon the occurrence that is happening, daghan ang especially karon nga mga season, rampant ang suicidal and homicidal. Is it true? Mga kuan, people who are really in distress, they tend to use clinical drugs as a poisonous weapon towards death. So, grabe kay siya karampant nowadays because there are specific, that is why I am really I'm one of an advocate sa kanabitong practice nga if walay prescription, as much as you can, do not give it to that specific person. Because there are a lot of surveys na the reason why daw kuno they are giving specific drugs, clinical drugs, that they're not even sure if that was prescribed to that specific patient, kay for the reason of money. Para lang lugar ta maka baligya, we just tend to give that specific person this kind of drug even though we're not sure if it is really prescribed by his or her physician towards her. So it's really very sad, no, to think nga for the sake of that, a lot of people would end up dying because they were able to get introduced to a kanang scenario nga they know they can buy this specific drugs. You know what? Too much intake of your beta blockers, too much intake of your what else? Your calcium channel blockers, your angiotensin, those can still react to a specific person's body. Too much gali nga hypertension medication, what will happen to the patient? Class, what will happen to the patient?
Hypotension.
Hypotension. And usually, what happens to a person experiencing hypotension? There is reflex tachycardia, or what else? What are the other symptoms? What else aside from that? Yes, yes, low BP. What else? And you know what? This kind of symptoms, let's for example, this reflex tachycardia or even low BP, in severe cases, it could be life-threatening baya, more of which it can cause death. So come to think of it, no, ka na a specific person is kind having difficulties in life, whatever is in front of him or her, yan lang i-intake tanan. Of course, that can cause a life-threatening result to a person's life. So all of the drugs, if not taken moderately, can cause what? Or taken under the recommended dose, what will happen to the patient? Again, if the person is taking not under the recommended dose or not under moderation, what will happen to the patient? What will happen to the patient? It can cause toxicity, or again, in severe cases, it could be life-threatening. Yes, ma-overdose or underdose. But again, basically, if it is excessive already, ideally, madto gyud siya sa factor or resulting to overdosing. And overdosing can lead to toxicity. So, that is how it goes. So, right now, actually, I prepared. Hold on. I prepared a quiz and an activity actually for you. So I will be posting it in the stream. But let me finish this one first before nako to siya i-post. Wait. Okay, by the way, aside from that, we have also factors influencing toxicity. So we have the following: the form and innate chemical activity. So it's not only the patient's factors that is affecting toxicity, but we have other specification on the factors also that involves or that helps out trigger the toxicity of a specific substance. So it also includes dosage, especially those dose time relationship or the dose response relationship, the exposure route. Again, what are the exposure route? The three main exposure route that we got.
Elementary skin inhalation.
Okay, very good. Now, we also got the specification of a species. Diba, na ko sa inyo last time, I've given you example that, for example, the carbon tetrachloride. So, they said that carbon tetrachloride is harmful or not good to all species, but actually, it is harmless man di ay sa chicken. So, the specification of species also, one of the factors influencing toxicity. Aside of that is the life stage. So there is a difference o kung unsa ka paspason, may increase ang toxicity on a specific body depending on if the person is an infant, young adult, or elderly adult, or such as geriatrics. So aside from that, again, we also have gender. We also have the ability to be absorbed, the metabolism, the distribution within the body, the excretion, and the health of the individual. That includes the organ function and pregnancy, which involves psychological changes that could influence toxicity. Now, as also mentioned the last time that we had lectured, the reason why nga nung mo accumulate pod ang organ function sa person, because if the person already again has a liver damage, and that specific toxicant or toxic substances is mas ga absorb or mo-adhere siya anang specific system. Let's for example, the liver. So kung daot na daan ng liver, mas na-trigger pa siya sa toxic substance, then what will happen to the patient? What do you think will happen to the patient if ingana? Ang patient was already diagnosed with liver damage. So if the toxic adheres or absorbed to that specific system, what will happen? Yes, it will trigger the illness that the patient has already. And worst case scenario, that would even lead to the specific person nga naa na nga illness to mas paspas ang iyang death. So that is so sad. So that is why dili irradiate ta dapat magpaka, okay raman na, lahi raman na sa tinai. There are cases nga dili day dapat nato inganaon. Yes, it could be a joke, but not at all times. So let's also consider that one. So I think that are the things and factors that influences toxicity. So I'll try showing you the hazards and risks. Hold on. Okay. So I will be sending you this. I will be sending you these files. So I'll be scrolling it. Hold on. So I've made this into PDF para mas dali ra sa inyo. So in here, it was specified the hazard and risk under toxicology, so that it would be easier for you. So this is also a reminder. This is in relation to the ones that I've mentioned earlier. So take note. I will just be getting, of course, terms in here. Don't worry about the curves or the graphs because we will still be dealing more of this in the long run of our discussion. Para dili ra pod kayo mo bombarded for next week. So, yes, my sympathy goes to you for next week. So, kindly just run through the terms that is being stated here. And aside from that, I'll also be giving you these notes. These are the branches of toxicology. The one that I gave you during the lecture that we had, it's the relationship towards other sciences that toxicology has. So yes, I think that would be all for the pointers that you'll be having for the exam because I realized that um, since we only were able to meet this week, so and you are also having other subjects as well. So really, it's not koan, it's not giving if isuron pa yung exam next week since it's all still prelim. So okay na ba? Or gusto mo let's have inclusion of those graph already. Okay, so
Ma'am, have mercy, ma'am.
So I guess no one would like that. Okay, no problem. But with regards to the definition of terms, the introduction, do you have any question, clarification? Violent reaction. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
With regards the coverage for the prelim, ma'am, katong gidiscuss niyo last time until now sa lecture po, and how about sa laboratory po?
Oh, yeah, good question. Because I've decided not to, dili kita makastart sa laboratory this prelim since the time is very short. Your grade for the lecture will be your grade for the laboratory. But that is just only for prelim. Okay? So, yes. So, we will...
How about the PowerPoint, ma'am? Mag-send ka PowerPoint.
Oh, yes. Actually, as you notice, I can give you the PowerPoint, but not everything that I talk about was sa PowerPoint ha. So, aside from the PowerPoint, I'll be posting this note and the hazards, and yeah, I think I've already given you the other note that I had. Okay, so yeah, I'll be posting these 3 notes that you need for the prelim exam. But does it mean nga na human na ta ha? I am giving you activity right after this, and it is actually it is a 20 or I think 15 minutes lang na activity. Given you 15-15, so I think there are actually 3 or 4 activity that I'll be giving you after this discussion that we have. So kindly submit it accordingly to the due date and time. Okay, it will be closed. I will no longer be opening it. Okay? So, okay ra ba? Hala. I'm so sorry. I already put the time. I already applied the time. Um, okay, I'll give you time to scan. I'll be posting it by the way. Kaya ako pang pangibutang dito will start at 10:45. So, it's okay. We can still have, I think, more or less 20 minutes just to review the notes. And then, yeah, we can have the activity right after those 20 minutes. So, you'll start off at 10:45. Okay ra ba? Ay, class, okay ra ba? Pag sure mo. Hindi lagi mo gatingog. Tulog pa?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so, yes, by the way, the activity is not that long. Ay, magkabala ka. Grabe ra kay kagamay. Kaya ra kayo ninyo piyong-piyungan. Pwede na bad. Okay. Oh, kinsa pa rin wala na add sa Google Classroom. Okay, ah? Wait lang. Why I'm not adding those? I have 84 students here. Hello, basin may uban diri nga kuon. Sige, let me know who are those nga wala na na add. Johanna Makala. Okay. Who else? Kindly write your name sa kuan sa chat box right now. I'll be adding you. Okay. I'll be posting first the notes. Wait lang ha. So you can start off reviewing. Uy, daghan di ay mo. Uy, hala, I have already 80. Weird. I've posted 2 of the documents. I'll just follow the Okay. Okay, I'll just follow the PowerPoint. Wait lang, ako sinip mga adding ng ibang classmates ha. Thea, I think you're already added. I cannot find your ano. Wala, I think added na ka, Thea. Hindi na ako makita ng imo ang kuan. Email. Chavez. Saya, kindly check if you are on the Google Classroom. Kaya dili na akong makita nang imo ang email. PBI. Also, Phoebe, I think you are in already. Kindly check. Neil, I think you're in na pod. Neil, so. Yes, you're already added. I know, no. For your toxicology, I am fusing both 3A and 3B. So expect that I am, for now, I am putting both the actually lectuream ginitanan, because we will not have the laboratory. But I think for same na lang. I'll be posting everything here sa laboratory. Just for everyone's information. No other Google Classroom. Mora ni. Okay? Hannah. Any question, clarification? Hannah. For the exam, okay, for everybody's benefit, it will be a multiple choice type of exam. And I think it's going to be 50 items only. Or 50 items sa bitaw. You will have 50 items only. Any question, clarification? Can you access the things I posted? Yes, I'll be posting it now. May post pa rin natin. Color. Yes, ako i-post ang color mga C's. Oh, before also, let me have the attendance na lang. Your attendance will vary on the activities that you will be answering. Everything was posted. Kindly do a review. Neil, makaabot na ka og mga 10:45. The lab activity will start at 10:45. Try lang og access dayon. I'm sorry, class. My mistake. The activity will start at 10:50 DI on time. Just keep posted. Kindly refresh your classwork. $11.5 Neil. Yes, you can leave the classroom once only done with all the laboratory activity. So you still have two left activity. That was the first one, so another one is coming. Second activity will start at 11:10. Kindly refresh your classwork. For number 6, it's vertical. Both 6 and 9 are vertical. Again, both 6 and 9 are vertical.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Go ahead, Ray.
If ever your ang answer, ma'am, is 2 to 3 words, ma'am, among i-answer sa form is isa lang ka word or with space?
No, without space.
Okay, sumpay lang. 1 word lang tanan answers.
Mm-mm.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then the third activity will start at 11:20. Kindly refresh your stream, it's posted. Okay, for activity 3, it would only cost you 5 minutes to answer.
Wala para ba siya sa ko G-class, ma'am?
Ang unsa ang wala sa G-class?
Activity 3, ma'am.
Kindly refresh it. It's already posted. Kanina ra 11:20. Always refresh your streams. Alright. So daghan submitted late. I'll try to check about it, okay? Okay, there is still one last activity, and this is going to be a case study. The case study will start at 11:35. Or makaginhawa pa mo. Oh, I don't know what happened, but anyway, I'll just check it. But as we all know, prom gyud siya. Anyway, just prepare for the last activity. Okay, who raises their hand, kindly open your mic.
Ma'am, na missing ang among activity ay among output sa activity 2.
Why is that happening? But most of you already submitted. They were able to submit. I think, hold on. Wait lang ha. I got
Bossing.
93 responses here. I'll just double check it. But so far I got 93. You are, 93 responses.
Good morning, ma'am. I think ang pasabot, ma'am, is sa G-class mismo, ma'am. Murag wala siya na mark as done, pero nakasubmit og response sa G-forms.
Oh, it's okay. I'll do check the responses man. Your answers is more important to me.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. Dili na ba daw pwede yung late, ma'am? Namoy classmate na mo nga kuan. I thought nga wala na ay activity 2, so he leave siya sa Gmeet mo to na miss niya ang activity 2, ma'am, after sa activity 1.
Oh, I told you you can leave the G classroom once everything is done. But let's try to see if mo kuan pa ba siya sa responded. So it's okay, let him be but or let him or her be, but yeah, I'll just to check it. Makabutang man gyud diri if it's really late at all. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Kindly refresh your stream. And also, I will give a rationale on this, but I will do it as a recorded live since the time is almost up. So if you are done with the fourth activity, you can leave the Google Classroom. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Excuse me ma'am, in paragraph form po ba yung answer namin for this? Excuse me ma'am.
Again, if you're done class, you can leave the room and see you next week.